Perfect.
Alright, so I've been wanting to do a review on the suspension of this Baron drift truck for a while. You can see I've got the old plastic stock springs here. I just went ahead and put some new aftermarket ones on. They're actually made by the same company that makes the truck. You can see they're actually metal, and they're oil filled, and they're actually really nice. So these are the stock ones here, and what you can see is that these caps do come off on the stock ones, and what you'll find out real quickly is there's nothing in there. This is just a spring. It's a cheap plastic spring, and you can't really do any tuning because of that. You can't change any of the oils or mess with anything like that, like how hard you want the suspension to be. So I wasn't real happy with these. I did have to cut the springs on the brushless one to get it to even grip, but I found these. I was paying attention on Banggood to like the aftermarket parts they were coming, or the upgraded parts they were coming out with. This one here is the Pro version, so it's actually got the brushless engine in it, but that's about all they did differently. They put the brushless motor in, a different ESC and a different servo, but they didn't do anything to the suspension. But I was watching on Banggood and I saw these ones came out, and these are actually oil filled, and they're all metal, and they just look like a better shock, so I wanted to go ahead and give them a try. Now, took them out for the first session to kind of start testing them, and all of a sudden I've got oil all over the place on one of these. So, I was really happy with the way they felt on the vehicle. They did everything I wanted, like I was hoping they would do. They were a little bit softer, but a little bit smoother too. I'm taking this one off here because I want to show you what the problem was, why I started leaking oil. And this is what you're going to have to do when you get these, if you buy a set of these. So you got your spring here. You want to pull back on the spring, push this down, and pop that out of place. Put that here, take the spring off. And what you're going to notice is that this is loose and this shock cap is pretty loose. You can see the dampening pushes back on it because there actually is oil in here. I could take it apart and show you real quick. So there's oil in there. So that's really neat for how small these are. They're actually made really well. The aluminum's not too cheap. It seems pretty, like it's a decent grade. But what you got to do as soon as you get these, before you put them on your car, is you got to grab this part here, and you grab this here, and you tighten it. Pretty much that one as tight as you can, because what happened to me was this came loose and blew off, and all the oil came out, and I was like, oh, these things are junk. And then I started looking at them a little bit closer, and there's a nice little seal in there and everything. It was just loose, and they put them together. They didn't tighten everything up. So I tightened that up, and then you want to also kind of, while you're holding this, go ahead and just give this a little turn. You are going to scratch them up a little bit, but it's better than not working and oil going everywhere. So once you do that, you're set to go on these. I've been running these, done probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 runs on them since I tightened them up. I did lose a bunch of oil on the first set, so I had to refill them, and I kind of figured, it was kind of cool because I figured out, look at the difference of these things. These ones are so much nicer. They're so smooth, you just feel it. It's so high quality for how small it is. But anyway, I figured out pretty close to what the shock weights are for these. So if you were, if that ever happened to you and you were concerned on refilling them or just flushing them out, it seems to me that the rears are a 50 weight because I had to play with some of my different oils to get this one to feel like that one in my hand. And then it seems that the front are a 30 weight. They're definitely lighter. So that's kind of cool to know, just if you ever have to refill them, that there are different weights in the different shocks. The other thing I kind of want to go over about these shocks is that you got to be really careful when they come to you in the bag that they come, because this is the bag that they come in, and for some reason I got 2 sets and there was a slit right here on both of them. And the problem is it comes with new ball joints for down here, and they're bigger than your stock ones. So if you lose them, you're in trouble. And they don't fit super tight in here anyway. I'll talk about that in a second. But they're not in the shock when they come. They're just sitting in the bag. And I got all excited when I first got them, and I opened up the banggood bag, and it's possible that they fell out or they fell out in shipping, but I lost 2 of them. So I couldn't put 2 of these on, but luckily I had some other RC stuff that a buddy gave me, and I had a smaller one of these and another one of these that I was able to make work for the back here. So be very careful when you open your bag, and just know that you're going to have 4 of them in there, and they're probably going to be somewhere loose in the bag. So that was the only negative experience I had with these, and then the shock oil coming out. But that was just because they needed to be tightened. I've tightened up all of these now and used them both multiple times and haven't had any issues with them. Now, as far as performance, this is my baby right here. I know that this is a brushed version, and this Pro one should be the better one. But this one has such crisp throttle control. I can really drift it and do exactly what I want with it, especially with this better Z battery in it. And I noticed, this car was almost perfect in my opinion. I have a bigger drift car that I've built, and there was a couple little spots where it just didn't handle as good as my bigger one. But then I put these shocks on here, and it's almost like just like a perfectly scaled down version of the bigger one that I've been working on for 2 years and trying to make it drift a certain way. And I thought that was just awesome that I was able to get it to where I felt like I was using the same big car I've been working on for years. It's on my YouTube. You can see it's actually a Slash 4x4 that I've just been tuning. And I did a lot of autocross racing, and I was working on suspension and learning about suspension for a couple years. And so I kind of, after I had back surgery, I kind of tuned into these little cars and wanted to still be able to change things and tune things. So this was a perfect little setup for me to kind of get into that, because it's a cheap little car, but they make aftermarket parts. So I thought that was really cool when the suspension pieces came out. And these are neat. They're only about $16, which, for metal oiled suspension, I thought was amazing. They are from Banggood. So you do have to order them and wait around a little bit. I would suggest ordering 2 sets because you're going to like them so much. And if you did lose a piece or something failed on it, you'd want to be able to keep them going. So I think it's worth having 2 sets. I actually ordered another set because I lost those back pieces before I found that I could replace them with another thing I had. So I'll have another set sitting on the shelf. But on this car, I noticed the biggest difference. Like, it just got really smooth in my drifting and consistent. This car is just kind of rowdy. The power comes on like a turbo car. It's got like nothing in the beginning, and then it just comes on and it's out of control. So I did notice a little bit of, better performance in this and drifting. I think I'll really notice it when I put the rubber tires on. In my opinion, this brushless version is a better RC car, meaning what I mean by that is that I'd rather drive this with rubber tires on and kind of slide around a little bit. Because of the way the power comes on, it's too hard to be consistent with your drifts like you can be with this cheaper one. So where I'm at, after having these cars for a few months, I've done other reviews on them. I did about a 20-minute review going back and forth between these cars and the pros and cons of it. Where I'm at is I really like this one. This is the cheaper brushed version that you can get for about $65. You can see I put a little flame sticker on the motor because I liked it with the yellow and red and stuff like that. But what I've come up with is you can get this for $65. Then you get the shocks for another like 15, so you're at 80. And then you buy one of these Z batteries, they're like 15, or you can get two for 30, and you're right around $100. And this is like, I don't see there being a better little drift car for playing with out front for or in your garage or in your house for under $100. It's got metal axles. It's got metal drive shafts, and it does have LSD differentials in here. They're plastic from what I assume. I haven't had that apart yet, but you can put metal ones in if you blow them out, like if you've got this faster brushless version. This is a cool car. I mean, if you just want an RC car that's fast and everything like that, this thing will definitely surprise you. But if you're just looking for like a fun little drift car, the brushed one's the one to go with. But as far as these shocks go, definitely if you have one of these little Baron trucks, or any, there's a car made by this too, definitely go ahead and get yourself a set of those, and you will be super happy with the performance. I just wanted to put this on so you could kind of see the ride height. That's as low as you can get them, unfortunately. But as you can see, they were pretty much made for the truck. So what I found, I did do different adjustments to see how it drifted. What I found is if you just put them all the way slammed, meaning tighten this up against this as like a lock washer, that's how it seems to handle the best. It's like they were made for the car. So yeah, that's my opinion on these shocks. I think they're amazing, bang for the buck, and you get them off of Banggood, no pun intended. I'm just in love with these little cars right now. Like I've got two cars that I've got $1,000 into each of them, and I've got about 110 into this one and about 130 into this one, and I can't stop playing with these little micro cars. So I definitely say go get yourself one if you're thinking about getting an RC car. And if you want a good RC car and a good drift car, get yourself two. Get a brushless one and a brushed one, because they're completely different in the way that they run. This is like having a turbo car, and this is like having an all-motor drift car that's just super consistent. So but yeah, I shared some of the stuff that I've shared in the last videos on this video, but I just really want to just make you guys aware of how awesome these little shock absorbers are here. But remember to tighten them up when you get them.